Hey everybody, welcome. My name's Kurt, aka the Vitruvian Gamer, and I'm here again with a first PlaYte video. These are short reviews, but well, not full-fledged reviews, because these are first impressions. So I'm talking about the game that I played for the first time. So this is not about someone who played this game for 10-20 times and knows everything about it. So this I played once, and this is what I thought about the first time playing. So let's continue and let's see which game I played this time. So in this game, well, 1 to 4 aliens or heroes or whatever, or thieves actually, they go on a spaceship trying to get a very cool treasure and trying to escape through one of the escape pods. But they want to be the first one, or they want the biggest treasure, or, well, they don't want to die because there is a big alien running around the ship. I'm talking about the deck building game Clank in Space. Clank in Space is the younger brother of Clank, which was the same idea of game, also deck builder, but in a fantasy setting. I do own that game, I've played that one as well, and I finally got the chance to play the newer one, the Clank in Space. So let's get to the table and see what comes in the box. Okay, there we are. This is Clank in Space. Now, before I talk about all this stuff, let's go and look at the rulebook, which is, well, I think pretty decent. I did not have to read that much because there is a way. Let me see. Yeah, set up, of course, with a very cool overview. But if you read this isn't my first heist. Well, then you have a few pages that you only have to read, because besides that, the rules are the same like Clank. So I did not have to read that many rules, which was cool. It was awesome. They realized that some people might already know how this game works, approximately. There you go. An overview of the cards, what the actions you can do, and the alien, the bad boy, and how to escape, and how to score at the end of the game, and some advanced rules, and an overview of the tokens that are in the game. There we go. Now, this is the game fully set up. Well, not completely, I must say. I didn't put all the player pieces on the board. So what do we have here? We have a modular board, so I'm not sure if I can show you because I put everything on it, but these are pieces that you can take apart, you can turn around and create a spaceship with other tiles, which I believe might be interesting for future expansions. And that's also a difference with Clank itself. And I like that, but that's for my final thoughts, sorry. So, also a bunch of these tokens here, which are small treasures, or yeah, small treasure that you can get, some bigger treasures. And of course, you are looking for the bigger ones who score you a lot of points. This scores only 10. It's easier to get than, of course, the one with most points, 30. And the way you are going to try to get one of those treasures is by playing cards. Now, as you can see, each player starts with the same deck of cards. But during the game, you are going to use these cards in deck building ways. So you have 5 cards each turn, and you discard them afterwards. You have to play all of them, by the way, because of course you also have Clank. And Clank is noise that you make. By example, with this one, you stumble, you make noise. And I'll explain that later. So, if your deck runs out, you have to reshuffle your discard pile. When buying cards, and as you can see, there are a bunch of cards there. When buying cards from the market, or however it is called, and there's a big pile of many cards, then they go into your discard pile as well. And when you have to reshuffle your discard pile, they might come into your hand, and they are, of course, more powerful than the cards that you start with. Alright, so those cards, what do they do? Well, some of them let you move, and that's depicted with a boot, of course. And some of them let you buy more cards. The blue crystal on the left top part of the card. And some of them let you fight. And fighting, well, you have to fight some aliens that roam around the spaceship, but you also can fight enemies that are in the market row, which is also a way to get bonuses, and that's very cool. You might notice there are some very funny things about popular media. For example, the Boldly Go, a phaser. So you have things that might sound familiar to you. Alright, back to the board. And there we go. So, what are we going to try to do? Well, using our cards, we are trying to move through the spaceship. And we need to get to that artifact. Now, to get to the artifact, we need to get access, because this right part here, you can't get there at the beginning of the game. You need to hack 2 terminals. Now, terminals are depicted with these green symbols here, so you have to hack 2 of them by doing the right things, depending on where you go to hack it. But you have to hack 2 terminals on a different room or a different sector of the spaceship. So you have to move a little bit around before you can get access to wherever you want to go. And that's also a difference with Clank. Clank, you go straight to the treasure you want. Well, straight. There are, of course, also rooms that block you, enemies, and all those kind of things. You have here these arrows here, which is, and I forgot the name about it. Well, I believe, I don't know anymore how it's called. Let me check it really quickly. It's the hyperlift. So you can move fast through this hyperlift. You can go all the way from here till here if you want, but of course you need access to get here. But you can go as far as this with only one move. You also have these spots here. Those are telepaths, which you can move from in between. But to do so, you need a telepath, one of these. So there are some spaces where you can buy stuff from the market right over here, which give you points and also might give you a special ability, but only 2 players can get the same item. So that might be a race to get those as well. Of course, there is the word Clank in this game. Each time you make Clank, one of your markers here will go in the Clank space. And sometimes the alien, which is this bad boy here, will attack you. Depending on what level he is, all these tokens will be put in this bag here that comes with the game, and that's the number of tokens that we have to draw. If it's one of the player's color, it goes on the wound track over there. If a player gets all the way filled up on the wound track, they are out of the game. Well, they might. When does this alien move up his track? Well, each time an artifact is taken, each time there is a certain treasure taken from one of these tokens here, he gets mad as well. And I believe also each time someone hacks a terminal. And I forgot to set this up, but here should be 2 red cubes as well, and on the top 2 as well. And when he arrives on that spot, a red cube will be thrown into the bag, which, if drawn, attacks every player and goes back into the bag. That's craziness. Now, you're trying to escape, and well, to escape you need to get to one of these pods. There are 4 escape pods, so the first player trying to escape has choice out of 4 pods. But each time a player leaves, well, there's one less pod to take for the other players. So you're trying to escape, it gives you 20 bonus points. If you manage to get to this sector here and you're still eliminated, then you still get to tally up your points, but you won't score your 20 bonus points. So it is very important to get at least to that spot. After you do so or not, players count up their points, which they get from cards, from their artifacts, from different treasures, and from their credits, and then they, the winner is the one with the most points. Of course, some cards also activate with these crystals here. You can get these during the game from certain spots or certain cards, and for some cards to activate the special power you need to have these. Also, it uses a little bit of the legendary encounter system with the colors here. So some cards, not all of them, have a color or a symbol in the left top corner here, and some cards have an action that activates when you already played one of these colored cards as well. That's a cool addition to this as well. And that's roughly how you play Clank in space. Now let's see what I think of this game. Okay folks, that was Clank in space, or whatever is going on in this game. Now Clank in space is, well, you can't play Clank in space without comparing it to Clank if you already played it. So that's something I will do quite a bit in this last part of the video. So Clank in space has some very cool differences, I must say. So first, the theme, of course. Depending on what you like, you might prefer the other one or this one. I played it one time, 4-player game, and I think about, well, it was a 50-50 thing. Some people preferred the fantasy setting, some people preferred the space setting. It's difficult. I think most people will prefer the fantasy setting unless they are sci-fi fans and they will understand everything that goes on with the cards that have funny hints to different well-known sci-fi series, movies, or whatever. You will see stuff of Star Wars, Star Trek, and all those things. So that depends a little bit. What I really liked about this game is the modular board to begin with. Now it doesn't look as appealing as the one in Clank, I must say. The cave that you go into, the underground, looks way more appealing than this board here. On the other side, this is a modular board that can be adapted from the base game. It's not that big of a difference, but still it changes things up. And well, for future expansions, this might be very, very interesting, of course. That's something I never really liked about Clank, is that with each expansion you get a new board and, well, cards that only go with that board. So you have expansions that you cannot use all cards on one board, and that kind of really bugs me. So I'm curious what they are going to do with expansions for Clank in Space, which there are already is one announced, I believe. So I'm very eager to see what they are going to do with that. What else is a big difference? Well, that you have to go through to data hacking stuff. You have to hack 2 terminals, so that gives you, well, that you have to go to certain spots before you can go on, and so it's harder to have the strategy of running through one treasure and going back. So you really need to go to 2 terminals before you can go to that treasure, which has a other side, of course, as well, that makes the game longer. So it felt a little bit longer because you had things to do before you can go to the real action, getting that treasure and trying to get out. Some people will think it's too long now. I liked it still, but again, it was a 50-50 thing in the group that I played with. Also, a difference is the space where you can still be saved when you are eliminated. So this is much tighter. The space where you are still saved is way less tinier than the one in Clank, and that was something that I didn't really like 100% in Clank. It was too easy to still score points. As soon as someone escaped, other players were, well, pushing their luck, but not really, to get as much treasure or as much money as they could get, score by high scoring cards and managed to get to that safe spot, losing 20 points, but still winning the game because they gathered so many points during those 4 or 5 turns that they had more than the other player, that it was, I've never seen someone win by running in and out very quickly. Another thing about the escape pods, very cool idea to have 4 different escape pods. Each time someone escapes, one exit is gone and you have only 3, 2 or even 1 left to escape through. And that had as a result that in our game 2 people escaped, one person got rescued, and 1 was eliminated, didn't manage to get to the safe spot. So that was something that I had never seen happening during the plays of Clank. So that was very interesting. One player was a little bit annoyed that he, after playing a while, scored 0 points because he died. He was very close to being saved. On the other hand, I wouldn't have mind if I would have died like that, because he took some risks by going quite deep into the spaceship. That's how things go. So there are some more things. The color chaining. So if you have a card with this symbol here and you play another card with the green symbol, then you get to activate a special ability. Well, I don't think it needs to have that, but it's a nice addition. I haven't seen it trigger in the complete game that we played. Another thing, the red cubes for the alien. If he gets angry enough, you get the red cubes in the bag. Very cool, very tense. Each player, if you draw a red one, gets a wound. Very cool. I like that quite a bit. Besides that, components are decent. I'm still not very happy. Well, not completely happy with the cards. I think they can ask, they ask a little bit for sleeves, but it's a lot of them, so I'm not going to sleeve these because it's not my copy either, so that's something. But as you might already have noticed, I really like this game. I prefer the theme of the normal Clank, I must say, but if I count up everything, all differences, and maybe future expansions, I think I prefer this version of Clank, the Clank in Space version. So that's why I'm definitely going to meet this game again, and I hope pretty soon as well. I'm thinking about doing a playthrough. Depends on the time that I have. As I just said, it's not my copy, so I'm not sure how long I can keep this to film everything. But again, it uses the app as well. If you want to play with some different things, you can play multiplayer with the app that changes things up, or you can play solo as well, which I'm, well, eager to find out how it plays. Until that, I'm going to bid you adieu, and I thank you for watching this first PlaYte. I hope you liked it. I'm very curious, have you played Clank in Space? Have you played Clank? If you played both, let me know in the comments and let me know what you thought of them. So, I'm really curious about that. Thanks again for watching, and I see you all in the future in space. Bye.